Hello, my name is Elizabeth Kensinger. I am professor and chairperson of the Department of Psychology and Neuroscience at Boston College, and I also direct the Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience Laboratory. We are putting together this series of short video clips in the hopes that we can share some of what we have learned with you through our research looking at how we remember information and how we remember information as we get older, and that we might be able to share some of what we've learned with you in ways that we hope you will find useful. So what I want to focus on in just the next few minutes are some strategies that we can all use to help us to learn information more effectively, no matter our age. So this is information that will hopefully be useful to you if you're in high school and you're watching this video, or if you are returning to the workforce after perhaps what you thought was going to be a period of retirement. One of the most important pieces of information that we can probably give to you is the importance of practicing using your memory. So although the brain is not a muscle, it's of course an organ, we want to think about it as a muscle in the sense that we have to use our brain in order to be able to keep our brain at peak function. And similarly, we have to use our memory in order to keep our memory abilities at peak function. Every time that we retrieve information from our memories, we're actually helping to strengthen those connections to make it easier for us to later be able to re-access that information. Every time that we call someone by their name, we're increasing the likelihood that we're going to remember it the next time that we see that person. Every time that we generate information that we just heard in a meeting or that we just heard in the classroom, we're increasing the likelihood that that information will be available to us later. We also want to then be sure that we're relying on memory, not just writing down everything. It's very easy in this day and age to be using Post-it notes, to be typing information into our phone, to even be taking a picture of something like the floor that we parked our car on in a large parking lot. And certainly those things might be good to do to make sure that we have a fallback if the information isn't in mind when we go to try to retrieve it on our own. But we want to practice always first relying on our memory. So even if you've taken that picture of where you parked your car in the lot, don't immediately pull up that picture. Instead, first, try bringing the information to mind. Try retrieving where you parked your car. Try retrieving the person's phone number before you just automatically look it up. By doing that, you're actually using your memory. You're keeping those abilities active, and you're making it easier to remember other information in the future. I also want to emphasize the importance of envisioning success. We want to be doing everything we can to keep our motivation for memory high, our motivation for learning high, and our anxiety about our memory low. You might imagine successfully teaching someone else some material that you're trying yourself to learn. Imagine what that would look like. Imagine how you would describe the concepts to them. If you actually have that other person that you can practice teaching the information to, that's great. But sometimes we might be on our own trying to learn the information. And just imagining how we would teach that information, how we would convey it, can help us to more effectively learn the information. We also want to specifically imagine when we're going to successfully retrieve and use that information. If we're trying to memorize some list of names before we go to a gathering and want to be able to refer to people by name, imagine being in that situation and successfully calling someone by their name. Imagine successfully introducing that person to another acquaintance of yours. Again, envision success. Try to keep your anxiety low, right? We don't want to be envisioning failing to think of someone's name in the right moment. We want to be keeping our motivation high by envisioning our ability to succeed. It's really important to find meaning in material, to make the information connect to you in some way. We can do this in lots of different ways. We can put information into our own words. So just don't write down exactly what someone says in our notebook, but instead really think about how would I phrase that and write it down in our own words. Or if we happen to write it down verbatim at the time we were taking our notes, then take that additional time later to reflect, how would I put this in my own words? You might even say it out loud so that you can hear this information in your own voice. You might narrate a story. You might form a really vivid mental image. All of these can help you remember information, whether we're talking about complex, multifaceted concepts that you might be hearing in a business meeting or learning about in a classroom, or whether we're talking about something more basic, again, like remembering where you parked your car. If you parked your car on level 6L, rather than just thinking about those numbers and that letter, you might really try to tell a story about something, right? Maybe there were 6 llamas that were walking down the road, and that's going to help you remember the number 6 and that starting letter L. Whatever it might be that's going to help you, right? Again, you could conjure up that mental image of those 6 llamas lumbering down the road, and all of that will later help you to be able to get back that information as to where you parked your car. And again, the more that you can connect it to something that you find amusing or that has some relevance to you, the more likely it is to help you remember it. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of working together. Students often understand this importance, right? And they work together with one another to try to learn information, to try to retrieve information. They understand that our memories can be aided in many important ways by making this a social phenomenon, right? By working together, by putting brains together to try to remember information. But again, sometimes we're on our own and we don't have the ability to have a study group, right? Or it's all on us, right? There's no one else that we can rely on in this moment. But even just imagining working with someone else in a collaborative way can also benefit our memories. So I hope that these are some relatively straightforward suggestions that you can bring into your everyday life, increasing your tendency to practice using your memory, envisioning success, trying to reduce your anxiety because that's never helpful to memory to be feeling stressed out, to find ways to make information meaningful to you, to connect it to things that are important to you or just that you find amusing, and to at least envision working with others, teaching information to others, thinking about that collaborative aspect of learning. And hopefully you'll find that together, putting all of these 4 types of tips together is going to help you to achieve more success in remembering the types of information that you want to retain. Thank you.